If you've been watching my videos now for a while, you know and understand how to lose body fat. But a question that gets asked a lot is, how do I set up my calories and my macros for lean bulking? The goal of bulking is to add as much muscle mass as we can. So the goal of lean bulking is to add as much muscle as we can, but while staying lean. We want to add the optimal amount of muscle mass that our body will let us in the space of a week, in the space of a month, but we don't want to add any extra pounds to the scale, because any excess is just going to be body fat. It's a tricky one because we eat too much calories and now you're going to gain muscle, but you're going to gain too much fat. And you don't eat enough calories, then you're not going to put on the size that you want. So we need to hit that balance, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. Some people will tell you the best way to lean bulk is just to eat clean, and I have an issue with that for two reasons. Because the first reason is, what does eating clean mean? It's a very subjective term. It could mean anything. I do recommend 80 to 90% of your nutrition should be clean foods that I would class as sweet potatoes, healthy fats such as coconut oil, healthy meats such as grass-fed, grass-finished beef. All of those types of foods I consider to be clean foods, and that's what most people mean when they say clean foods. But just because you're eating clean doesn't mean that you can't get fat, and it doesn't mean that you can't gain weight. If you eat 3,000-4,000 calories of clean food per day, you're still going to get fat, you're still going to gain too much weight. For lean bulking, you can't just eat clean, or you will just simply gain too much body fat. To set your calories and macros up for a lean bulk, it does require 1 to 2 weeks of setup, but don't worry about that because it's not an excuse. You can still start building muscle whilst you're still setting things up. You continue with your training program while we're setting things up, while we're getting those numbers. Down here we have the calorie deficit. That's what you need to achieve if you want to lose body fat and lose weight. In the middle we have the maintenance calories. This is the calories where if you eat that number of calories per day, you will not gain any body fat or lose any body fat. And then you have the calorie surplus. So that's at the top, and that's eating more and more calories than you consume every day so that you can gain weight and gain muscle. With the lean bulk, what we want to be is somewhere in between the calorie surplus at the top and the maintenance in the middle. So we want to be in the middle of those two. So we're bulking up, we're above those maintenance calories, we are gaining weight, we are gaining size, but we're doing it very gradually. We're just gaining a few pounds per month. This way we get as little fat gain as possible. So how do we do this? So what we do is, first we need to find our maintenance calories. They're the calories, like I said, where you will stay the same. So you won't gain any body fat and you won't lose any over the course of a week. The only way to tell is to weigh yourself. So on an empty stomach, on like a Saturday or a Sunday morning, whatever day you choose, after you've been to the bathroom, weigh yourself, and then that's your starting weight. Now what you do is multiply your body weight in pounds by 15. That number is the amount of calories you need to aim to eat each day to hit those maintenance calories. Now what you do at the end of week 1 is you weigh yourself to see if you've gained or lost any weight. If you've stayed the same, then congratulations, you've found your maintenance calories. If you've gained weight, then you need to take 100 to 200 calories away for the next week and weigh yourself again. And if you've lost weight, then we need to add a few more 100 calories. This should take 1 to 3 weeks to find out those maintenance calories. So now to lean bulk, what we need to do, like we said before, is be slightly above the maintenance, but not too far into the surplus that we gain too much body fat. That's the point of the lean bulk. What you do is you take that number of calories that you've been eating in the maintenance and add 200 calories to that number. Now we're in that slight calorie surplus. Your goal should be to gain about half a pound of body weight per week on the scale. If you get on the scale, and let's just say for this example you're 170 pounds, your goal should be to be 170 and a half at the end of that week. If you are more than that goal, then take 100 calories away. And if you are still 170 pounds, so you haven't gained any weight or you haven't quite gained enough, then add another 100 calories. As you progress through the bulk, your body will start to get used to eating more calories and your metabolism will speed up. So that 200 calories plus will no longer make you gain weight. And so what we need to do then after that few weeks is add another 100 to 200 calories. The key with lean bulking is to always go slow. If you're in that maintenance or even just slightly above a maintenance, you are going to gain some muscle even if the scale hasn't moved at all, even if you're still at 170 pounds that we talked about before. So don't worry about it. What a lot of people do is they get frustrated because the scale hasn't moved and they add 500 calories. They add too many calories, and this just leads you down the path of gaining more and more weight. you need to take it slow, you need to be patient, and I know it's not something that's fun, no one wants to be patient, everyone wants results now, but if you want to do the best lean bulk that you can do, you do need to start taking it slowly and getting your numbers right. If you have gained slightly over 0.5 pounds per week, that's okay. The maximum I would ever go for is 1 pound per week, and that is more the aggressive end. Don't think by eating more and gaining more pounds per week you're gaining more muscle. You're not. Building muscle is a very difficult process for the body, and there's a point where you cannot build any more, and that is largely based on your genetics. But what you don't want to do is gain 3 pounds per week. If you gain 3 pounds per week, you haven't gained any more muscle mass than you would if you just gained half a pound per week. You're still going to gain the same amount of muscle. The only difference is you've just put 2.5 pounds of body fat on, which now at the end of this lean bulk, you're going to have to spend months trying to get rid of that body fat. If you're slightly over that 0.5, maybe you're 0.7, 0.75, that's okay, that's not a problem, but you have to understand the maximum amount of muscle you're really going to build in a month is about 1 pound. You might gain slightly more if you're new to training. A lot of people think you can gain 10 pounds a year. That's the common thing in the fitness industry. If you really believe you can gain 10 pounds of muscle per year, let's take this for example then. So if you're 25 years old and you weigh 170 pounds, so if you gain 10 pounds over the next 10 years every single year, that means you'd be 270 pounds and as lean as you are now or leaner by the time you're 35 years old, so just 10 years later. There's no way naturally you're going to go from 170 pounds to 270 pounds in 10 years. It's impossible to do that. So all the people telling you you can gain 10 pounds per year, which is the common thing, that's simply not true. You cannot gain 10 pounds of muscle every single year. The first year of your training, when you've never trained before, you can gain 10 pounds a year. So the point of this is that really there's no point in you gaining more than 2 pounds of body weight per month, because you're not going to gain more than a pound of muscle in a month. It's okay to gain a pound of muscle and a pound of body fat. I believe that's optimal for lean bulking or bulking in general, but gaining 4 pounds in a month, you're still only going to build 1 pound of muscle. What's amazing about doing the lean bulk is obviously we're gaining the maximum amount of muscle that you can, but when it comes to cutting, first of all, you don't have much body fat to lose, and second of all, it makes cutting easier for 2 reasons. When you're eating that amount of calories per day and gradually bumping those calories up, you're speeding that metabolism up more and more and more, which means when you go on a cut to lose that body fat, it's going to be a lot easier to lose it because your metabolism is so fast. All you need to do is take away 500 calories from the amount you're eating at the end of your bulk, and now you're in your cutting phase. Also, when you're going to low levels of body fat, all of your hormones are suppressed, but because you're lean bulking, because you're getting plenty of healthy fats, plenty of proteins in, all of your hormones are going to be at their optimal levels, which means when you go to cut, all of them are at their top levels. This video is about how to set up your calories and macros for lean bulking, and so I'm going to talk a little bit now about how we can set the macros up. So when we talk about macros, I'm talking about proteins, fats and carbohydrates. How many grams of them do you need per day? Now, I will say the calories are the most important thing. There is nothing more important than making sure that you're hitting the right number of calories. That's the best way to gain the weight. Not by tracking the macros, which is what a lot of other people will do in the industry. It will work, definitely, but it's not the most accurate way to do it. I personally don't track macronutrients other than my protein, but I am going to show you how you can do it if you want to. But just remember, like I said, the most important thing is making sure you hit the calories. My recommendation is that you focus on the proteins, then the fats, and then the carbohydrates you just fill up with whatever calories you have left, you add the carbohydrates in. So protein is very simple, and after this video I have already a YouTube video on exactly how much protein to eat depending on where you're at, but this is the best calculation if you want to build muscle and you want to know what protein to hit per day. Take your body weight in pounds and multiply that by 1. So for example, if you was 170 pounds, multiply that by 1, that's 170 pounds. You should be trying to hit 170 grams of protein per day. When it comes to your fat, making sure that you hit at least 0.3 to 0.4 multiplied by your body weight. So 0.3 is at the lower end, 0.4 is close to the higher end. So whichever one you want to go for, you could do 0.35 if you wanted to. multiplied by your body weight, and that's how many grams of fat you need to eat per day. The reason those two are the most important is because they're going to support your testosterone levels, all of your hormones, and those two nutrients you can't live without. We need protein, we need fat. Carbohydrates, you can actually live without carbohydrates, whereas proteins and fats you cannot. This doesn't mean that I'm against carbohydrates, and it certainly doesn't mean that they can't be helpful for putting on size. I actually think that carbohydrates are very important for putting on size and one of the best things you can do to gain weight. However, what I recommend doing instead of tracking them is just filling up the rest of the calories with carbohydrates.